evening, everyone. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Auburn Conservation Commission, and this is the April 28, 2021 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon.
Present.
Patrick Cunningham.
Present.
Allison Holmes. Nathan Rand. Tony Romney. So right now we do not have a quorum. So for those members of the commission who are hopefully waiting to join us, please join us. Otherwise, this is going to be Allison Holmes has arrived. Allison, are you there? Allison, please unmute.
Yes, I am here.
All right, outstanding. So yay, we have a quorum. And also in addition...
Sorry, I'm having trouble finding the agenda.
No worries. And we also have town officials and employees participating. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody.
Present.
And Land Use Clerk Ginger Butow.
Present.
Right. So again, good evening, everyone. This open meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission is being called to order at approximately 7:01 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the ongoing state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. So for this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening by remote participation for the public only, although staff are in fact physically located in the Selectmen's meeting room at the Town Hall. These town employees are also practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. And also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So accordingly, for those members of the Conservation Commission, employees, and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. So all supporting materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to members of this body and are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So we are going to turn shortly to the first item on the agenda, but before we do that, let me go over some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I, as chairman of the commission, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions, and please hold until your name is called. And also, please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. And for any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. And if members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. So after members of the commission have spoken, I, as chair, will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify themselves by their names and addresses only. And once we have a list of public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken this evening, if we take any votes, will be conducted by a roll call vote, meaning I will call on each member of the commission individually to cast their vote. And so that is it. So the first item on tonight's agenda is the 7 PM public hearing from Paul Letourneau, a request for determination of applicability to cut a tree down at 197 Rochdale Street in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved, Tom.
Is there a second?
This is Allison, I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote. Is there anyone here on behalf of Mr. Letourneau?
I am, sir, Paul Letourneau.
Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
Good evening, sir. I am very well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, we did receive your request for determination. You provided us with a, where did you get the map from, sir?
I believe I received that one from the town site. It was a lot plan. There was numerous ones I tried to get. One from the state Oliver system, and I believe the clearest one was might have been from the town site.
Okay. And according to the map that you've provided, the tree in question is 100 feet from the wetland line. Is that right?
Approximately 100 feet, right where the 100 is written. That's the start of a slope that goes down towards the wetlands. So it's about probably about 30 or 40 feet anyways from the beginning of the slope downward.
Okay. And did you measure it yourself?
I did measure myself. I estimated that because of obviously the steep downward slope. Did not want to be lost down there and miss this meeting. But I did accurately measure the tree from the corner of my dwelling to the tree itself.
Okay. And sir, can you tell us why you want to cut the tree down?
So what had happened was it was a twin, I guess you would call it, that was in front of it years ago that had rotted out from the inside. That had come down on its own. So Moss Tree Removal came by approximately 2-3 weeks ago. He had taken a look at it, and his estimation that it is leaning towards my home. And he had estimated that it looks like it appears like it may be rotting from the inside, like the one that fell before it.
Okay. And so you have concerns that if the tree is not cut down, it may eventually fall on your home?
At least the deck and patio area, and seeing that the estimation from him was it's approximately 75 to 80 feet tall, that it will most likely, the way it's leaning, it would strike my dwelling. Yes.
Okay. Now, have you discussed with the contractor how he's going to cut the tree down? Is he gonna stump it, or will there be a stump left after it's cut down?
We discussed that he would remove the tree down to the stump level. We didn't discuss anything further from that.
Okay.
I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to go with that. I do not have any problem whatsoever taking that also.
Okay. But the intent, I would assume, is to just remove the tree entirely from your property?
Yes, he's going to take, it's an oak tree, and that was the agreement that he would actually cut it down and take all the product with it.
Understood. Okay. Mr. Letourneau, I have no other questions, but I'm going to ask our poll members of the commission to see if they have any questions. If you would just stand by. Tom, any questions?
No questions.
Allison, do you have any questions?
We plan on doing a site visit?
Well, I guess that depends. Do you? Would you
Do we
like
have any
to do
plans for other site visits?
Well, would you like to do a site visit, Allison?
I think if we're doing other things, we should see it. If not, it's sort of maybe a low priority. One tree that far away from the wetland, I think it'd be cool to see it, but maybe it's not completely necessary. I don't know. I'm sort of up for discussion.
All right, we can leave it for discussion momentarily. Patrick, do you have any questions for Mr. Letourneau?
I do not have any questions.
Okay, so I guess we should decide the issue of whether or not we feel it's necessary to do a site visit. Tom, do you think we need to do a site visit?
If we have other site visits going on, we can go by, but other than that,
Mr. Letourneau, I would assume you want to get this cut sooner rather than later, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We still have to contact Dan Maas, the tree removal person.
Sure.
So I'm not quite sure we're on his schedule yet.
Okay. Would you mind if we did a site visit perhaps this weekend? Our next meeting is going to be on May 12th.
Okay, yeah, you are more than welcome.
okay.
Unfortunately, this weekend is a fairly busy weekend. We're going to be in second vaccine shots will be in Boston and gone till later in the evening. Sunday, there should be somebody home.
Okay, and also there's the following weekend, although I think that's Mother's Day on that Sunday, so that Sunday probably wouldn't be a good day, but perhaps that Saturday would be a good day for you.
If that works for you. That being said, if we're not home to answer any questions, it's obvious where the tree is, and you're more than welcome. You don't have any wild animals or dogs or anything that are that would.
So you think we should be able to see the tree? Is that right?
Oh, you can come on the property. There's no obviously restriction to come on the property if you need to see it up close and personal, but it's clearly visible. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, well, thank you, sir. So, with your permission, then. We will continue the public hearing in this matter based on a motion from one of the commissioners to May 12th. Do we have anything on at 7? So, sir, well, first of all, is there a motion from any member of the commission to continue the public hearing for Mr. Letourneau to May 12th at 7 p.m.?
So moved. Tom?
All right, is there a second?
Allison, I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote, it's unanimous. All right, Mr. Letourneau, so we're going to continue the public hearing to May 12th at 7 p.m. And between now and then, we will get out to the property, and we have your phone number, so we'll call you to let you know that we're going to swing by. And I thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a request for determination of applicability filed by Robin White to cut a tree down at 32 Perry Street in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
So moved, Tom.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Allison?
All right. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous, and the public hearing is open. Is there anyone on behalf of Robin White for 32 Perry Street?
Yes, sir. This is Charlie Murphy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Murphy, what is your relation to Robin White?
She is my mother-in-law.
Okay, so why don't you tell us what you want to do here?
There's a tree directly in the front of their house. It's somewhat similar to the other gentleman where it's rotting and windstorms. I just have a fear of it falling on the house, and it's rotting from the inside out. So
Okay.
I've been eyeing it for the last couple of years, and it's time, I think.
Okay, and you were kind enough to provide us with a Google map showing the house and also the tree. Did you have an opportunity to walk it off? That is the distance between the tree and the wetland?
You don't have a picture of the. Okay, so what I did is from the house to the street. Let's say the front of the house is roughly 50 feet.
Right.
Okay, so from the tree that you're looking at, which is the one with the round garden, the round pavers around it.
Sure.
From that to the left, it's about 40 feet, roughly 40 feet to the left is kind of the start of the wetland.
Okay. Did you measure it, or did you measure it, or did you eyeball it?
Yep. No, I measured it.
Okay. All right.
I have 37 to 40 feet,
right,
and it's roughly directly in the almost middle of the lawn from front to back.
Gotcha.
50 feet.
Now, have you spoken to anyone about removing the tree?
Yes.
Okay. And again, I believe you were present when we had the previous applicant. So
Yes, sir.
would there be a stump in place, or would the stump be ground out? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna have this stump grounded out as well.
Okay. And
I don't see any point in leaving the stump,
sure, especially it being in the front of the house. And
Yes, sir.
and the tree will be removed from the property totally?
100%.
Gotcha.
100%.
Okay,
I'm not throwing nothing.
gotcha. All right, so I have no other questions. Again, I'm going to poll the other members of the commission to see if they have any questions for you. Tom, any questions?
No questions.
Allison, any questions?
My questions are about the 3 trees to the left of the house there.
Yep.
Picture, are
Yeah.
they in good condition? Are you?
Yeah, those, the one, I don't know what kind of tree it is directly to the left, but there's a tree line going down. I believe those are pine trees. And there's some small other ones, but they're not going to have any interference in what we're doing.
Because obviously for the protection of the wetland, those trees
Yeah,
are.
Yep, there's going to be, I'm not going to touch them one bit.
All right. Yeah, same deal here. I mean, we almost don't need to see it, but I almost feel like if we're going to swing by, maybe we should swing by and just look at the wetland itself.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. The only thing I ask is, if I have a chance to have this guy come and take it down, I almost have to take advantage of it because he's very busy at work.
Are you also using Mr. Moss?
No, I'm not, sir.
Okay, all right. Ultimately, that's the question then. Are you agreeable to continuing it to our next meeting, which is May 12th, or would you prefer that we close tonight?
If respectively asking if you could close tonight, I would appreciate it, because if I could make a phone call and him say, yeah, I could do it, I'd just assume get it done as soon as possible.
Okay.
But that's up to you guys as well,
All right. Allison, any thoughts about closing the public meeting this evening?
Yeah, I mean, do we put erosion controls up for the wetland? I mean, was that talked about at all?
No, let me ask you, where's the erosion going to come from? I mean, nothing. I'm assuming they're going to come in, and I'm pretty sure they're going to come in with a bucket truck, and they'll stay on this side of it, say the driveway side, or they may climb it, whatever they really want to do. But erosion, there's going to be zero erosion, ma'am.
I think hopefully you have enough buffer there, but, obviously we just want to make sure that the ground is stabilized as soon as possible. And
Of course. And it's not like they're going to just go in and lay the tree down. They have to take it down piece by piece. I mean, I've talked to them about it already.
they're not going to rip up your whole yard to do it like they did mine.
There's no chance of that happening.
I think I'm okay with closing it if everyone else is.
All right.
And if you can take a drive by over the weekend, or Ginger has my phone number. Ginger can get a hold of me if you see a problem. But I don't see a problem, to be truthfully honest with you.
Okay. Patrick, what are your thoughts?
I think we can close it tonight. The buffer seems good, and if there's going to be minimal erosion concerns, then I think a drive-by could be useful, but it could be closed tonight. Okay. I think.
All right.
And guys, with that being said, I'm pretty sure they're going to chip it. I'm pretty sure they're going to chip the small brush as well into a truck. So there's not going to be anything. Let me repeat, nothing going to the wetlands whatsoever.
Okay. And that being said, is there a motion to close?
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
And that's Tom. Is there a second?
second.
Oh, sorry, Patrick.
All right, we're going to give it to Patrick because he beat you by a split second. Okay.
Fine. Works for me.
Is there any discussion? There being none, I'm going to poll the members. Tom?
No questions.
Okay, and in terms of the vote,
Oh,
do you vote,
I vote, excuse me?
do you vote, how do you vote on the motion to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Allison, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. All right, it's a vote. So the public hearing is closed. Mr. Murphy, thank you for participating,
Yes,
and we will get a decision out to you in the next day or two.
So let me ask you something, just because I've never done this before with you guys. Will somebody be emailing me, Ginger? What works now, or how does this work?
I will be mailing you out your decision. I'll let you
Okay.
know when I mail it.
So the decision is that I can't take it down, but you want me to just wait for the certification from you guys?
What we've done, Mr. Murphy, is that we've just closed the public hearing. We're going to deliberate after
Yeah.
we close business. Okay?
Okay. Yes, I appreciate everything.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay. The next matter on our agenda was the 7:10 public hearing for Alliance Environmental Group, a request to amend an existing order of conditions to permit on-site vehicle washing activities at 33 Sword Street. By the request, or at the request of the applicant, that hearing is going to be continued to May 12th at 7:10.
Well, you got one for 7, so we'll do 7:05.
7:05 is fine. And then, okay, we'll wait until, actually,
Clock right?
okay, I have actually 7:22. The next matter on our agenda was a 7:20 public hearing, Tech Associates for request of determination of applicability for vegetation control along the Providence and Worcester Railroad. Also at the request of the applicant, that matter is also going to be continued to our next meeting of May 12th. At what time?
7:10.
7:10. Okay. So our next public hearing is not until 7:45, but we do have other business. I had an opportunity, finally, to go to 208 South Street and also 23 Boyce Street. So I looked at the property at 208 South Street. There was evidence of tree cutting, but none of there was no indication or evidence of any encroachment in the wetland area. So I think that can safely go off of our list. With respect to 23 Boyce Street, I also went out there. I also found evidence of tree cutting. And what I also found was evidence of, and I don't know how long it's been there, but there is a stream, and it appears to be I don't know if it's a perennial stream or not. It could be a perennial stream. But it appears that someone had started to almost erect a wall. And I think we have pictures of that.
Yeah, he's going on.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Mike. What were they doing, you think?
I don't know.
I mean, it definitely seems like they're altering the direction of the wetland flow by adding that wall.
I mean, I don't know if they are or not. I do know that and I don't know who's put it there. Obviously, they didn't bother to notify the commission. I don't think we have any filing for 23 Boyce Street. At least I'm not aware of any. And the activity appeared to be fairly recent. Is that the picture?
Yes, that's one of them.
Okay. So if you scroll down, there's evidence that they've started to construct a wall.
What's it made out of?
Wood. It's like, I don't know if it's wooden slats.
Pallets?
Looks like pallets. It had the appearance of pallets. So My thought was that obviously we didn't authorize that, and perhaps a letter should go to the property owner, inquiring about that wall and maybe asking them to come and explain it to us. I don't disagree. So that was interesting. So anyway, again, because it's not we did not provide permission or give them permission to do that, and since I'm not aware of any filing for this property, my thought was that an enforcement order might be in order, or at least a letter to the property owner asking them what they're doing, and maybe to come and, or at least go on a Zoom or go to meeting call and explain to us what their intention is. I went.
Allison, I would have to agree.
Okay.
Probably with the latter method, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any malicious intent here. I did go to the Registry of Deeds website to see if I could find or get information about the property owner, and it appears that they purchased the property back in January of 2018, so they've been there for about 3 years or so. So, does someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we send the property owner a letter inviting them to attend one of our meetings, I guess, and just explain what they're doing there and the purpose of it. And
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Allison?
All right, thank you. Is there any further discussion? There being none, and by roll call vote, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it's a vote. So I will, I'll prepare a letter, Ginger, and I'll get it to you in the next day or two.
Okay.
Okay. And then we had received a complaint from the property owner, I think at 18 Sunrise, about cutting in wetlands. Is that individual available this evening? So apparently not. So this is actually the second time this matter has been on our agenda. There was no one responded at our previous meeting of April 14th. My suggestion is that if neither, and we understand that there's a dispute between two neighbors, wetlands may or may not be involved, but if neither person is willing to or is not going to press the issue, it would be my recommendation that we just take it off the agenda.
I concur with the chairperson.
Okay. Allison, any thoughts about that?
No additional thoughts. I'm
Okay.
agreed.
All right, Patrick?
I agree. I have no additional thoughts.
All right, so we're going to just take it off of the agenda then. Okay. So in terms of other business, we received a letter from National Grid concerning utility maintenance. And what's described apparently is that they're going to actually be replacing a number of utility poles. 3 along Zabel Avenue within the 100-foot buffer zone associated with Stoneville Pond, and also the riverfront area associated with Kettlebrook. The replacement of 1 utility pole on Bryn Mawr Avenue within 100-foot buffer zone of the BVW, and a potential vernal pole. And then, perhaps more significantly, the replacement of 24 utility poles on Leicester Street located within a 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland and inland bank, and also 200 riverfront area associated with Chapin Brook. And one pole is located within bordering land subject to flooding. So because it's considered maintenance of an existing facility, they're actually exempt from having to file with us under the both the Wetlands Protection Act and the regulations promulgated there under, and also under the Arbor Wetland bylaw. So I think at this point, this is just more informational. They want to notify us of what they're doing. It appears the work is going to begin sometime, I think, in May. And if anyone has any questions, we can contact James Rhines at National Grid. The next item is 498 Rochdale Street. We have just recently been informed that Denise Childs, who was handling this matter on behalf of DEP, has retired. And I presume that responsibility for DEP enforcement of 498 Rochdale Street will be taken up by someone new. I had received emails from the abutter voicing her strong displeasure at the fact that that the conditions present at the site have not really been changed. The town is also engaged in an effort to enforce its fines against the property owners, and that is ongoing. So my hope is that now that there will be a new person at DEP responsible for the handling of 498 Rochdale Street, that maybe we will get a more aggressive response from DEP on this matter. So all I can say to the public and also to Mr. and Mrs. Barocas is stay tuned. We have meeting minutes for October 28th. I reviewed the meeting minutes, and I had no changes to make. So if, did anyone want to propose any changes to the meeting minutes for October 28th of 2020?
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, and the motion is?
I make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes of Wednesday, October 28th, 2020 as written.
Okay, is there a second?
Allison, I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so the meeting minutes of October 28th, 2020 are accepted as written. Okay, which leaves us 10 minutes. Oh, I did my best.
I know.
Our next public hearing is at 7:45. Is there a motion to recess?
Make a motion, we recess till 7:45.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so we will reconvene at 7:45. All right, good evening, everyone. It's 7:45. Is there a motion to resume the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Allison?
All right, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So we are now back on the record. And this is the continued public hearing for Eastland Partners, notice of intent to construct a subdivision at 50 and 190 Washington Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved. Tom?
Is there a second?
I'll second that,
second.
Allison.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Okay. So, I see we have Mr. O'Connell, Mr. Caraccio present. Good evening, sir, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Steve O'Connell here.
Okay, and I also see that Art Allen is joining us. Art, can you show us that you're here?
That is correct. I am here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this matter was continued to tonight, Art, I think because we wanted to get your input on the site. I know you've had an opportunity to go there. You provided us with your comments. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at the Turning Point Engineering response to your report of April 8th of 2021. Did you have an opportunity to do that?
I did. Yeah, I received that yesterday, and I had a chance to review the responses. Yes.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what the proper format is. Mr. O'Connell, do you want to proceed, or would you prefer to have Mr. Allen go first?
I'm happy to have Mr. Allen give his findings to the commission.
Okay. So yeah, Art, if you could do that, just tell us, what your conclusions were after going to the site.
Right. Again, Art Allen, environmental scientist from Ecotech Incorporated in Worcester, peer review consultant for the commission on this project. I did visit the site after reviewing the files. I visited the site on April 6th of this year, and I provided a comment letter dated April 8th regarding 50 and 190 Washington Street. As the commission's aware, there are two prior DEP file numbers associated with this project. One was for an order of resource area delineation on 190 Washington Street. The other was for what was referred to as a pad-ready site on 190 Washington Street. Again, the order of conditions was restricted to 190, so technically the wetland boundaries at 50 were never reviewed. And I won't spend much time on 50 Washington Street at this point, because based on the applicant's response, it appears that they are going to revise the current notice of intent and basically eliminate the proposed cross-country sewer at 50 Washington Street. That's going to be eliminated from the project. So I won't dwell on other than to say that, there was 50 Washington Street was delineated wetland resource areas, but they were not presented on the plan and they were never verified. So basically, the original order of conditions for the pad-ready site, it included a stream and a separate wetland crossing. At the time of my site visit, I noted that the stream had a temporary, what appeared to be a temporary crossing, using two culvert pipes and fill, whereas the permitted crossing was basically a span of sorts to span over the stream Obviously, the existing culverts and fill do not meet stream crossing standards, and that was not what was approved by the commission. It's my understanding that those culverts were put in as a temporary measure, allowing them to access the backside of the site and both sides of the stream for the initial construction, and if they intend to remove those culverts and install the permanent span of the stream. I noted associated with that stream crossing that there was some additional bank disturbance, about 50 linear feet on one side of the stream crossing that was not permitted, not included in the original order of conditions or plans. I would recommend that in addition to revising the original, amending the original order to include the temporary crossing, I'd also recommend that they include restoration and stabilization of that additional disturbed stream bank. And essentially at this point, they've pretty much cleared and grubbed the limits of the site. There are siltation and erosion controls in place at the perimeters, but there is a significant amount of exposed earth. A lot of it's on slopes leading down to the wetlands. So the EPA NPDES program that controls erosion control on the federal level, they require any land areas that are disturbed and are not worked within 14 days to be stabilized. So at this point, they should already be doing at least temporary stabilization on the site. It's not clear to me how long it'll be before construction resumes, but I assume, they would need to at least revise the existing notice of intent and amend the existing order, to get back into compliance. I know the applicants, in their response to comments, they appear to be requesting an enforcement order. I'm not really sure, given that they have, one permit for most of the work and then a second notice of intent in progress. I don't know if it would be appropriate to issue an enforcement order at this point, rather than just get them, make their amendments and revisions and get them back into compliance, with their existing permit and filing. The other issue out there was, in terms of wetland impacts, was they have a second wetland crossing. That wetland crossing has been installed. It has not been completed. The retaining walls have not been installed, and they have also not started the wetland replication area. Typically, wetland replication starts, before or simultaneously to the wetland crossing. So that should be something they get in progress. In theory, they should do that replication work this spring. The other issue that I addressed on the site was existing complaints and issues related to the disturbance of beaver dams on the site. I did note just downstream of the existing temporary stream crossing that there's a stone wall that goes through the wetland and stream, and I saw what appeared to be some beaver chewed branches underwater at that crossing, giving me the impression that maybe there was a beaver dam there that had been removed. I also noted about a little bit further downstream, about another 50 feet downstream, an active beaver dam that's in place, and it's impounding water. So there's quite a bit of beaver activity. There may have been some disturbance of some of the beaver material, but I had no prior involvement with the site, so I could just see what I could see for evidence of that potential work and prior beaver activity on the site. So that would basically summarize my comments and findings. I would expect that Steve would want to address his responses to comments, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we turn the floor over to Mr. O'Connell, are there any questions from the commission for Mr. Allen? Tom?
I have no questions.
Allison, any questions for Mr. Allen?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Patrick, any questions for Mr. Allen?
I have no questions.
All right. So, Art, I do have one or two questions with regard to the beaver activity. And I know you can't predict the future, but you've indicated there's active beaver activity in this area. Do you believe at some point this is going to pose a problem in connection with stabilization of the Wetland Crossing, or is it going to impact the project at some point later on to the point where we should consider maybe relocating the beavers?
It certainly could. I mean, it appears there was evidence of some prior beaver activity fairly close to the stream crossing, and then an active dam just about 150 feet downstream. And there's no, certainly the beavers, could come back or create additional impoundment throughout that area. It could impact their stream crossing. It could, potentially flood the roadway down in that area. At this point, it does not appear that what the beavers are doing currently, basically constitutes a threat to the existing roadway or the crossing, but that's not to say it can in the future. And at some point in the future, they may need to either remove the beavers and or put in some type of control device if the beaver dams get to the point where they pose a threat to the roadway or the stream crossing. So right now it does not appear that that's the case, but it certainly could be in the future.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Is there anyone listening to this meeting that would have any questions for Mr. Allen? And if you do, please identify yourself by your name and either the company you work for or your address. All right. There being none, Mr. O'Connell, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everything Art said, is correct as I indicated in my response letter. I think I want to just kind of set up the framework because this could be a little bit confusing, and I just want to make sure that as we dive into some discussions, we understand kind of the framework. So as Art indicated in his initial statements, there's multiple things at play. One is an order of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission for the pad-ready site plan, and that work includes excavating dirt from the rear of the site at 190, only 190, and hauling that soil to the front of the property. And what that process does is it creates a commercial building pad site at the rear and a commercial building pad site at the front, or multiple pad sites depending on how things work out. So that's very important to kind of understand that that's one project. And then that work is underway until it was brought to our attention about some potential violations. Subsequently, we submitted a notice of intent application for a subdivision, which is at 190, but a portion of the subdivision road crosses over the property at 50. That prompted a whole brand new set of public hearing process and abutter notifications. So, keeping those two processes in mind, the commission has not issued a violation, issued a cease and desist, or anything related to the order of conditions. There's only been some allegations from other departments about violations. And I'm not denying that there's a gray area about the order of conditions and the temporary stream crossing that was being constructed. But I want you to understand that we're kind of in limbo because the DPW won't issue us a permit that we need from them, the land disturbance permit, and the building department won't issue the earth fill permit until the Conservation Commission, addresses what these two other departments believe are violations. Yet, we've yet to receive anything formal from the commission, and I know that we're working through that. So, I want to maintain the separation of these two issues.
Okay.
So then, getting back to the new notice of intent for the subdivision, we will be revising that. That's an ongoing application, ongoing public hearing. We will be revising those plans because there's some changes to the sewer point of connection as requested by the DPW, which has been very helpful, from them. And the results of those revisions mean that we are no longer running the sewer through the property at 50 Washington and thereby not having those wetland alterations, temporary or permanent, whatever they were going to be. So again, that's issue number 2. So that's probably not a lot to talk about with regards to the current notice of intent in front of the board, because we're in the process of making those revisions, and you'll see those very, very soon, within a few business days.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to get back to the 190 Washington Street order of conditions with a pad-ready site plan. We very much want to be working out there. We very much understand the vulnerability of the site in its current condition. We very much want to be working on the wetland replication area. When I knew Art was first going to be involved with the commission, we had a telephone conversation. Very productive. I've worked with Art for over 20 years. We have a great working relationship. And, I thought that a very reasonable solution was that the commission could vote to issue an enforcement order, and the enforcement order could instruct the applicant to submit a request for an amended order. And again, we're talking about the pad-ready site plan only at 190. Mm-hmm. And that amended order could detail the aspects of the temporary pipes that are installed in the stream to allow the construction of the span bridge. And then as part of that, based on what we know now, some stream restoration, some bank restoration that Art has identified. So that's really where we stand. Doing nothing, I don't think is a good idea, because again, DPW is waiting for some direction, the building department's waiting for some direction, we're waiting for some direction. All the while, work is just stagnant on the site. And again, the wetland replication. This is we want to be doing that work. We want to order those plants. We want to get them planted, get that area prepped for the plantings, because we're just knocking on the door of that time of year. We want to be doing that work. So that's our position. I'd like to maybe talk about the merits of that. I know, we can probably have some productive conversations there.
Well, let me ask you, I have a few questions. Is the crossing at this point stable enough so that the culverts that have been installed can be removed?
Could they be removed?
Can they be removed?
They could be removed, but it would restrict access to the other side of the stream so that we can construct the bridge abutments that will support the span,
Okay.
the bridge span.
So your preference then is to actually keep them in place, right?
My preference is that, yeah, would be to keep them in place. Everything is stabilized there on a temporary basis. The work can occur, fairly quickly. This was our intention all along. I regret not detailing that on the plans or discussing it more in a public hearing format. We really only, discussed it on a sidewalk that day in the thick of the woods at the stream bank and described the construction procedures that were going to occur. So that was our intention all along, and just was not memorialized.
Okay.
And I don't, there's nothing wrong with that work occurring. It just has to be, permitted properly, which I said we're certainly willing to do.
Right.
Swiftly.
So I had a chance to look at the report from B&C Associates, Mr. Crossman. And Mr. Crossman, it appears, doesn't share the same concern that Mr. Allen does about the beaver. I don't know if it's a colony, maybe that's overstating it, but the beaver activity down on the property. He doesn't seem to think it's as much of a concern as I think Mr. Allen does, or potentially could be. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, the presence of the beavers is certainly no secret. I think, early on in the days when we were in front of the commission to seek the ORAD, we saw evidence of the beavers. I think what's important to know is that with a bridge span of that stream and the finished road elevation being about 14 feet above the stream, we don't share a concern, at least in the near term, that those beavers are going to impact, the bridge or the roadway or the site. I'm not saying that things couldn't change down the road, something that would be monitored, but I believe that's why Mr. Crossman doesn't share those sentiments, because of the proposed site conditions that will be in place upon completion of construction.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Before I turn this over to any public comment, are there any questions from the commission? Tom, any questions from Mr. O'Connell?
No, I just reading this report when I got home from work today. I've never read one of these reports. It's very thorough, especially like the different types of soil that are there. It provides a lot of information. And, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied that the conditions there, depending on how the board feels, that well, I'd love to see this project keep going. Maybe even through the process like this gentleman explained about issuing an enforcement order, so that they would have to come in and do the work that they need to do and just move forward with it.
Okay. Allison, any comments?
I'm looking at the report by Tech, picture number 4, where there's the temporary crossing, and then there's some standing water, and then there's some erosion control, and then I would believe that the wetland is on the other side there. Is that typically the way that's supposed to be constructed, with a sort of a boundary between the water and the wetland, or how is that?
Allison, that's photo number 4, you're saying?
Yeah.
So that is the permanent wetland fill that was approved.
Right.
So, that temporary siltation barrier is dividing the edge of the work from the replication area. So we will put additional silt barriers in just before the start of the replication area work, and then when it's all done and the silt barriers are removed, there'll be that hydraulic connectivity all the way over to those culvert pipes.
So
Okay, yeah, it looks really strange to have the water on the other side of the wetland and no ability to kind of get to the wetland itself. Typically, I would imagine the culverts would be on the other side of the fence, I guess is what I'm saying. But, yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think we got to put something in motion to get you guys back on, in compliance based on these observations. Definitely concerned about the restoration of this bank once you take this temporary, I guess further downstream where there was the disruption of the bank there. We should definitely get that addressed at some point. But no real questions, I guess.
All right, thank you. Patrick, any questions?
I do not have any questions, but I would like to just echo that I think we can do something to get them back on track.
Okay, very good. So, Mr. O'Connell, you recognize, of course, that it's very unusual for an applicant to ask us for an enforcement order. You understand that?
I do, and I do it because I hope it provides you some assurance and gives you some enforcement, but lets you know our commitment, to get this where it needs to be. I think it gives the commission the ability, like I said, to enforce what they want to see happen here, but also allows all the other permitted work to move on. And that will also, in my opinion, give the DPW and the building department the information that they need to issue their permits. So again, the work that was permitted there can occur, because otherwise we're literally just in limbo with a site that is in the condition it's in today, and we would be forced to do some temporary stabilization under the NIPD's permit, but instead we'd rather get to work. I think everyone would like us to get to work, including the stream restoration. That work can occur under the enforcement order. It's the time of year we want to be doing that work in conjunction with the replication area. So yeah, I understand the strangeness of the request, but it's not my first time doing such a thing, and I think it can be a very useful tool.
Understood. Before we I guess, continue this matter, is there any comment from the public? Apparently there is none. So because you need to provide us with a revised plan showing the elimination of the sewer crossing, am I correct that you need to continue the public hearing in this matter to our next meeting on May 12th?
We would continue the public hearing for the new notice of intent that has been submitted, correct?
All right, very good. And
just like to, we can hopefully come out of this meeting tonight with some direction on the 190 Washington Street existing order of conditions.
Right, and I think what we'll do is we will actually take that up after we at least conclude this hearing, with the understanding that the matter will be continued to our next meeting on May 12th. What time do we have?
We can do 7:15.
7:15, okay. So, Mr. O'Connell, we have your permission to continue the public hearing to May 12th, and this is on the new notice of intent to May 12th at 7:15 p.m.?
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for asking.
All right, and is there a motion to continue the public hearing for Eastland Partners to May 12th at 7:15 p.m.?
So moved, Tom.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Allison, I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. So the hearing on the new notice of intent will be continued to May 12th, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. And we will, I think the commission will discuss your comments, Mr. Allen's comments, and we will make some sort of decision this evening. So I want to thank you, gentlemen, for participating. We appreciate your input, and you'll be hearing from us.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we close the public hearing for the determination of applicability for 32 Perry Street. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue a negative determination for the tree removal at 32 Perry Street.
Okay, and that was Tom. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Allison.
Okay, is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so the motion carries. And then with respect to Eastland Partners, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we issue an enforcement order, as suggested by Mr. O'Connell, to allow them to continue the work, including the replication at the same time, to facilitate them being able to stabilize that stream bank and to get the bridge pilings going. And in conjunction with the DPW and the building department, to keep in contact with them and at their directive, just so we can see this project going forward the way it needs to.
Okay, and also that the culverts that were installed, there's a reference to the culverts being used for that crossing. That would be my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second. It's Pat.
All right, Pat, thank you. Is there any discussion?
This is Allison. Do we need this to lay out everything? I mean,
Well, I think,
do we have to, or are we just asking them to amend the conditions, to request for an amendment?
well, I
And
think,
they'll describe all of the things.
I mean, you raise a good point. I think we can be specific in terms of what we want them to do. I think it's understood that in order to do what we're asking them to do, they really have to be submitting an amended order to us. I mean, I believe based on both Mr. Allen's April 8th report and the comments we got in response, we can fashion something more specific. That would be that's my thought anyway, Allison.
Yeah, I mean, I want to address the stabilization.
Right.
I want to address
Of the
bank, bank disturbance, the temporary crossing without permission,
Right.
and the restoration of it once they put it back together.
Exactly. So, in fact, what I can do is I can prepare a draft enforcement order. I can circulate it among members of the commission, and then we can hopefully agree on the language in a day or two.
I think that sounds good.
Okay. Patrick, any comments?
No comment.
Okay, so there was a motion, and I think Patrick seconded the motion. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it's a vote. All right.
I have one other question. It's kind of an odd question. All right,
There are no odd questions.
All right. The first hearing that we had, we did continue it. And the second hearing, we made a decision tonight. Now, under the rules, would we be allowed to take a vote on the first one, even though we continue the hearing?
When you say the first one, I'm not sure.
The first,
197 Rochdale.
Right, for 197 Rochdale Street. The tree that was 100 feet away in the backyard. And the only reason is, like the second gentleman said, with the way work is right now with people, it's very tough to get people. And if he was able to get somebody there before that hearing on the 12th, I wouldn't want to hold him up from getting that work done, especially if the tree's in that bad of a condition.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine.
I just don't know the rules as far as, because I know we did continue that hearing. And if we did make a decision, we'd obviously notify him that.
I think where he agreed to continue the public hearing, we can't vote.
Okay.
So your point is well taken. If there is no other business.
There is actually, Mike. I was just gonna, I wasn't sure how to bring this up or what the best way to do this is, but
Okay.
I completed those 5 fundamental classes at the MACC last week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a lot of information. And I wanted to sort of present some of it and some of the ideas that I had from it, but I just don't really understand the forum as to how I should do that. But specifically, there was a long list of special conditions that they provided us that were some really cool, some good ideas, I think, that we could maybe add to our standard list, some of the ones that speak to us as having, coming up regularly.
I think it's a great idea. I really do. I think the longer we do this, the more we learn, and hopefully the better we get at it. So what I would suggest, Allison, is that, and would this be in the form of handouts that you received during the training?
There is some handouts, yeah. We could start with that at least and start the discussion that way.
So we don't have our agenda for the next meeting is not all that onerous, at least not yet. And I think perhaps under other business we could list that. And in the meantime, between now and May 12th, if you could maybe get those materials to Ginger, she can distribute them to the other members of the commission, and we can again have a discussion about this on May 12th.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
All right, outstanding. Thank you. All right, if there is no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting?
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Allison.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Allison?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
I also vote aye. All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you for your attendance and participation this evening, and we will see you on May 12th.
Good night.
All right, until then. Bye.